kind of the image we have, isn't it, of Mary and Joseph arriving in Bethlehem. We wanted to show that video just to kind of give us an image, an idea of what we've portrayed in our minds of this very pregnant lady, her husband, and she riding on the back of a donkey. The question is, though, as I looked at Scripture, I wondered, where did we get the donkey from? There's nothing in Scripture that talks about her riding on the back of a donkey. Matthew makes no mention of Mary and Joseph's arrival in Bethlehem, and Luke simply says that they went up from Nazareth to Bethlehem. So why a donkey? Well, we could look at some older manuscripts. The pre-evangelium of John, which is part of the Apocrypha, though not part of the canon, but dated at AD 145, is a document that talks about Mary and Joseph, because it writes that Joseph saddled a donkey and put Mary on it. What that means is there's a historical document that early Christians would have read. So back in early Christendom, it was understood that Mary and Joseph traveled and there was a donkey. I think we bring reason into play as well. You think about that journey. We at the Clearwater Core have been tracking the journey of Mary and Joseph through this Advent season. And we learned last week of the journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Only about 80 or 90 miles. We think nothing of it these days, but to walk it, a fit man could do it in about 4 days. But we're not talking about a fit man, we're talking about a very pregnant lady. And then as they went on that journey, we have to consider that they would have to go through Samaria. Well, no self-respecting Jew would go through Samaria, so they would have gone around Samaria, probably through Jordan, thus making the journey a lot longer. And the terrain was very mountainous. So again, it would have been very difficult. What we can surmise from all of this is, quite frankly, it would have been absolutely impossible for a woman as pregnant as she was to walk constantly for what probably was about 10 days by the time they'd gone through all those things and around all those places. Then we might wonder why, well, why a donkey? Why not a camel or a horse? Well, Joseph was a mere carpenter. It was most unlikely that he had either a camel or a horse, but a donkey, yes. But the other consideration that we must take is what we might call the shadow of the donkey. As with many things in Scripture, something that we see has a relevance later on. And perhaps what we see here is the King of the Jews. That's how he was identified by the 3 wise men when they spoke with Herod, that the King of the Jews was carried to his birth on the back of a donkey. Indeed, we also read in Scripture where the King of the Jews, that's how the Roman soldiers mocked him, was carried on the back of a donkey towards his death and crucifixion. So perhaps what we're seeing here in this story is a shadow of what will be. Zechariah says, "Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey."